What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, and I am happy to come to you with another episode of Ask FP. This one's relatively on time. We're only 10 minutes behind pace. I'm hoping to welcome some new people who have not seen or have been familiar with this particular program on my channel, or even familiar with my channel at all. There's been a lot of I've gotten a lot of new followers recently, and I know it's because I've been covering the NBA 2K eLeague, and so I appreciate everyone who who has been following me over the last, I would say, week or so, or maybe even a little bit longer than that. So that's awesome. But I do want to clear up a few things in regards to the entire NBA 2K eLeague situation, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of positive things going on, and then there's some negative things going on. And unfortunately, anytime people are involved, you're always going to have some negative. It's inevitable. That's just the way it goes, right? So I want to somewhat address some of that stuff. Some of it's just honestly, if I'm being honest with you right now, some of it's just straight silly, man. It really is. I know that we play games, basically. These, 2K video games, period. That's what it is, a game, right? I understand that. But that does not, to me, in my opinion, mean that you have to be immature. And and I'm saying that, and I'm probably going to contradict myself, because I got so many funny things cross my mind as I was just going through this whole situation, man. So many funny things crossed my mind. But so let's start from the top. First and foremost, man, this is when I'm writing these NBA 2K eLeague articles. Essentially, what I'm doing is when I get an opportunity, I try to talk to someone from 2K. To be honest, they're not giving me a ton of information, just to be totally honest with you, because this stuff is under wraps. They are sticking strictly to their whatever non-disclosure agreements or what have you. They're not giving out a lot of information about this, about 2K eLeague. So I'm basically taking the information that has been made available to all of us for the most part, and I'm going and I'm some of it, what I'm doing is I'm speculating. Some of it I'm taking the information and I'm giving you another point of view, giving us something else to talk about, because ultimately, let's talk about, 2K eLeague is exciting, man. We're talking about a group of guys for 17 different NBA teams. Real NBA teams are going to have jobs playing the game with a salary, a draft, a combine. This is spectacular. So I think right about now, what we really should be doing is celebrating the absolute awesomeness of what this concept is, right? And I'm hoping to see other sports follow suit. I know we have the Madden Championship Series, and I think it's really dope, and I'm getting into that now. I haven't been doing as much writing about that, is because, to be totally honest, obviously I know football. I know pretty much just about every sport, I would say an above average, having an above average knowledge of just about every sport, especially all American sports. But I want to get into a place with the Madden Championship Series where I know the players, not the players like, I'm not talking about Adrian Peterson, Tom Brady. I'm talking about the guys who are playing. I'm talking about people like Dubby, who, I wrote an article about that I was kind of unhappy with a little bit earlier. I'm talking about people like Eric Problem, right? I'm talking about people like Misery, people like True Boy. I've been watching these guys, and I've been paying attention to what they're doing, and I'm peeping out their styles. But before I write something, I want to make sure that I have a good grasp of what's going on, which brings me to some of the criticism that's been coming about. And I've even taken some notes here. Now, I am going to get into my normal Ask FP, but this 2K eLeague thing has gotten so big that I felt necessary for me to start off my show talking about this and addressing this. So we got people basically getting upset because they haven't been mentioned in the articles that I've written. I'm like, bruh, there's no way in the world that every single good player is going to be mentioned in an article. I mean, you know how long the article would have to be for me to mention every single person that's good? You know what I mean? And this is, to me, a product that shows that people just, they aren't reading. They don't read. And I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about. People just not reading, period, right? And they go off and they start their comment before they've read, you know, or they read and they totally disregarded it or whatever. But I'm going to show you what I mean about this. I'm going to bring the actual article in question up, right? So here's the article I wrote. NBA 2K eLeague Pro-Am studs who should be on every team's radar. So this is every NBA team's radar. So I refreshed it. We got decent amount of reads there. So I took a screenshot, was from a Kid Kuda video. So obviously people didn't like that because he's well known. So a lot of people, their concern is that they are feeling that because, you know, in order to get chosen to go to the combine and be under consideration to be drafted, you're going to have to be a well-known player. Somebody who has a following on social media. I don't know if that's the fact or not. I really don't. And I haven't ever claimed to know one way or the other. As a matter of fact, I believe the executive vice president of the 2K eLeague, Brendan Donahue, was recently hired by 2K. He actually responded to a tweet. Now I'll pull that up if I can find it. Responded to a tweet that I was mentioned in, and he said he guaranteed that everybody would have a fair shake. Hey, let me first let you guys know this. I'm not a part of 2K. Okay. I don't work for 2K. I honestly don't work for anybody. I am an independent contractor who is under contract with Forbes and under contract with a couple other publications to produce content. Okay. It's just, I have relationships with different people or with different companies, but I don't work for anything. I'm self-employed. Okay. So, but I'm going to bring this up. And here's what I said. People don't read all the way. And and I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying the people who are coming away with these crazy responses and saying the stuff that they're saying. And it's just crazy, right? And you're going to see some of it when I go to the Ask FP portion of the show. So I say, before you read this, let me just take away all the other words so we can start from the top, or as close to the top as we can. Before you read this, keep 3 very important things in mind. Number 1, play begins in 2018, which will be after, let me turn you off, will be after NBA 2K18 releases. Thus, the qualifications for the eLeague are likely to be based on what competitors do on the upcoming game, not NBA 2K17. I thought that was important to say because while we're all looking at the 2K17 leaderboards and we're all looking at what people did on the All-Star Challenge, and we're looking at what people did in Road to the Finals, which was last year, the truth of the matter is this will likely have a lot to do with what people do on 2K18. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I said that. So number 2, things could change in gameplay. There's no way to be sure that the guys who shined in 2K17 will be the same ones in 2K18. A drastic change is unlikely, but that's something to keep in mind. We don't know what's going to go on with gameplay, what type of tweaks or whatever go in that could affect it and make it where, hey, guys are not the same guys that were good in 2K17 and 2K18 are not quite as good. We never know. There could be something that changes and makes it where Kenny got work is just not as good a shooter as he was. That probably won't happen, but we don't know. We have to, when you're talking about this kind of stuff, you got to keep everything in perspective, and you got to keep everything in mind. This third one, which I think is most important when it comes to some of this negative stuff that I've been hearing on Twitter. This is my opinion. It's not based on any official information from 2K Sports or the NBA. There are a ton of great players. It's impossible to name them all. These 4 guys' resumes and skills stood out to me. Okay. My skills unreal, Worthing Colt, Kenny got work, Kid Kuda, Those are the four that I said, hey, when I looked through the leaderboard or the power rankings, I looked on people's YouTube, I watched people's Twitch feeds, and I just looked at the way guys played. And I said, hey, you know what? These four guys. There were other guys who I saw that I was like, man, you know, that guy's kind of good too. This guy's kind of good too. But at some point I had to cut it off because I couldn't write an article with 600 different people. I wouldn't have done anything else that day, if you understand what I'm saying. So that, I mean, that's the thing that people, you got to realize, man. So if you didn't get your name mentioned, that's not saying you're not dope or you're not good or you're not this. It's not saying that at all. This is one person's opinion. The same way Stephen A. Smith can sit up and say, hey, I think Kevin Durant was terrible for going to Golden State. That was the rivals. You know, they just beat you in the Western Conference Finals. How in the world could you go? You can agree with that, or you can disagree with that. Whatever you think, it doesn't matter. But that's Stephen A. Smith's opinion, and he's entitled to give that as a journalist the same way I'm entitled to say whatever I say. Just because I didn't name you doesn't mean I don't think you're good, and it doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do. Which brings me to another point, which was just insane. I had a guy, and this is a very well-known YouTuber who I'm not even going to say his name because it's whatever, you know, but I am going to, I mean, we are going to address it. My man says that I have never played. He can read the article and tell that I never played 2K before. That's what he said. So that's pretty stupid, because first of all, it shows that you're not informed. Okay. Now, this guy has been around for a long time, but apparently, you know, I'm not trying to say you should have heard of me or anything like that. I'm not that kind of dude to say, hey, you Google me then, homie. But I do have to tell you to consider the source. This dude right here is the guy that is telling me that I never heard, that I don't play. This is the guy. He say, I never played 2K before. Yeah. You doing 100 jumping jacks for subs, homie. Looking like a disturbed Lance Armstrong in here. What are you doing? In your socks with little light stickers on the wall. Really? This so you you the one said, he says, if you read the article, you can just tell that this guy has never played 2K before in his life. Well, if I look at your video or doing 100 jumping jacks for subs, I don't think you ever played any kind of basketball. Oh yeah, you hurt yourself. You hurt yourself. Any kind of basketball at all. Ever. Not even if you got a little rim above your head, right above the green star sticker. I don't think you ever played nothing. So, bruh, I was playing 2K before you was doing 100 jumping jacks for subs. You feel me? I was playing 2K back on Dreamcast when it came out, October 1999, I believe. The Dreamcast itself came out September 9th, 1999. But 2K wasn't a launch title. It came out the following month, I believe. Allen Iverson on the cover. I've been playing it ever since then. So your assessment is totally wrong. Just because I didn't agree with you doesn't mean you can discredit me. No more than just because I can look at this video of you doing 100 jumping jacks looking like a complete fool doesn't mean that you don't have a good YouTube channel, because you maybe you do. I don't particularly care for it, but hey, you doing jumping jacks. Hey, you did good. Anyway, as we proceed, I had to. He made me, y'all. He made me do it. I didn't want to do it, but he made me do it. He made me do it. He made me do it. So it's on him. He made me do it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And so we got, and I'm in the chat, people saying you're losing credibility. Man, come on, man. This is the same dude, I believe, who was talking about some you don't know. Bro, we talking about it. First of all, you guys have this whole thing twisted. Whether or not this is a esport or not, this is a game, bro. This is a game. All of you guys, it's no different than I sat up and I listened to the Boston Celtics, the 2018, literally carrying on a beef with a guy because he chose to work someplace else. Ray Allen chose to switch jobs, essentially, is what that breaks down to. And so now these 4 grown men are mad at him. It's just insane. It's just insane. You guys need to realize it. This is a game, okay? It is a game. I make my living writing and talking about these games, but I have it in perspective. It's a game. Okay, so all you guys that are getting on Twitter and saying all this mean, ridiculous, stupid stuff, you know, it's just silly. It's really silly. And like I said, just because you play a game does not mean you have to be like that. It doesn't. It just doesn't mean that. So, like I said, played the game plenty of times. My channel predominantly is NBA 2K. So unless somebody else was holding the controller during all these times, I don't know. It is what it is. Another thing, one of the main reasons why many of you guys who are kind of thirsty, so to speak, for some exposure are struggling is because you don't know how to communicate. There's people who you want their attention and you want them to recognize you, but you don't know how to come to them in a way that does anything but puts them off. So you want someone to recognize you and to write about you in an article, but when they write an article that you don't like, you come at them on Twitter with negativity. You're never going to get anywhere in any walk of life or in any industry that way. It's the same way with feedback on the games. If your idea of feedback for 2K is fix y'all servers suck, how effective is that going to be to get what it is that you're trying to get? Same thing here. I wrote an article and you thought that I missed you and didn't talk about you in the article, but you come back and you write an article on your own site and you say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 blah. The whole article is packed with more misspellings than I'm talking about. It's ridiculous, right? It's just terrible, right? But you make people point this kind of stuff out, because if you're messing with somebody, obviously they're going to step back and look at you and say, what part of your game is it tight? So this is what you asked for. Basically, you asked to be critiqued, because when you critique someone else, you're inviting the critique back. Okay, so you thought that was the right way to get noticed. That's what you thought. You always get more with sugar than you do with the alternative. Some of you guys may be familiar with that saying. So that's all I'm going to say about the 2K eLeague, man. The player selection process, I do believe, based off of the information that I have gotten or I've received, I do believe that it is going to be based on leaderboards for 2K18. Now that's something that I believe. I'm not saying that's in stone. That's just what I believe, just based off of everything that I've gathered. I think from 2K18, the way people perform in 2K18, I even believe there may be something set up that is almost like a tryout type of a situation where, you know, you're competing and everybody is seeing who's the best. So there may not be a dispute at all. There's going to be just guys playing. That's what I think. That's my opinion. I believe that there's going to be something structured for 2K18 that helps decide which guys go into the player pool for being drafted. And I do think there will be an opportunity, maybe for free agents or something like that, to be signed. I don't know for sure, but just based off the information that I've gathered, based off the way 2K is handling this whole situation, that's what I expect. I don't think that I don't think 2K wants a situation where you can really legitimately dispute who should and shouldn't be in this league. I mean, there's always guys, like even in the real NBA, there's guys who can really play, right? Really play. And they'll tell you, hey man, the NBA is about politics. I'm better than this guy. I'm better than that guy. And in some instances, they're right. You used to hear people like Rafer Alston before he got his opportunity, Skip Tamalu before he got his opportunity, saying, hey, you know, I'm good enough to be in the league. I am, but blah, 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 blah is going on. And in some instances, that may be true. That's just the way it is. That's just that there's only so many jobs, you know, in any type of industry, there's only so many jobs, and everybody's not going to be fortunate enough to get one of those jobs. And doesn't mean you give up. You keep trying, you keep grinding, you keep doing whatever you can to get in there. But I believe that's the way it's going to be. So I'm going to get into the Ask FP portion of the show. I think we have done enough of that for right now. But yeah, it just kind of got me. It just kind of got me, man. It was like, it was just straight ridiculous to me, man. It was just kind of ridiculous. I just wish that, wish it wasn't that people didn't get that way about stuff, you know, just automatically. As soon as I don't get my way, I'm about to start going at people. I'm about to start saying, you mess, you this, you that. You don't know what you're talking about. Man, come on, dog. You know, it's, you know, okay, so now I'm gonna give you credit now that you tried to just that quickly, you tried to throw me under the bus and act like I was this and that and you know, make all these accusations. Oh, you what now? Now, yeah, you know what? Do this though. How about no? How about no? How about no? How about no? And at the end of the day, man, it don't even matter what I think. It don't matter. I don't work for 2K. I can't make no decision on whether or not you in 2K eLeague or not. Frankly, I don't care. I don't care. I hope my player tears ACL. I don't care. I don't care. It's whatever, man. You know, I mean, get your life together, please. At any rate, let's do it. All right, let's go to some of this is going to actually be about 2K eLeague or whatever. So we may do some retreads, but we're going to go straight into Ask FP. We're going to show our expanded knowledge for those that are new beyond just video games. I'm a sports writer first and foremost, and beyond being a sports writer, I'm a video game enthusiast, and it all blends together. All right, the first question comes from Tyrus Thomas. OVO Ty says, so my Raptors are looking good. When we getting phone calls, man, you got to split this off. See, this is live YouTube, baby. Throwing this down. All right, so it says, so my Raptors aren't looking too good. What should we do in the offseason to improve? You know what? One of the first things I believe that they should do, and we've already heard about Kyle Lowry potentially opting out. I think everybody pretty much knows that that's what he's going to do. I think they really need to move on from Kyle Lowry, whether or not he opts out or not. Obviously, if they had it their way, he'd stay so that they could trade him and get something back for him. Obviously, they could definitely get something good for him because he is one of the best point guards in the NBA. But their former GM made a comment today, and he was, I think it was today or yesterday, he was saying he believes that the Raptors need a culture change. And a lot of times that's one of the things that people don't think about when they looking at team building. They tend to look at team building like it's NBA 2K. Well, I got this guy and he's an 87, and I got this guy and he's an 85, and I got this guy, he's a 91. We should be straight. Well, you can look at the New Orleans Pelicans and know that that's not the way team building works. The Kyle Lowry is, to me, not nearly the strong enough leader in adversity that I believe a team needs to be pushed to that next level. The other problem is they're playing against the beast. I mean, LeBron owns the Eastern Conference the way Mike used to own the Eastern Conference. The only thing is that Mike owned the league too, because Mike never went to the finals and lost. But you're not getting out of the Eastern Conference right now. I mean, and that's just the way basketball works. There are guys that come along that are so dominant. And because the NBA is such a star-driven league, there are guys that come along that are so dominant that you're just not going to beat them until they move on. And LeBron is on that level. And unfortunately, those Raptors teams are caught up in that problem. They're running into LeBron the same way the 90s Knicks ran into Mike, the same way the 90s Cavaliers ran into Mike, the same way the 90s Miami Heat ran into Mike. So I think that's part of it too. But I have noticed more than one occasion where it felt like Kyle Lowry shut down on his team. And the problem with that is he's such a good player that it's impossible for when that happens, it not to negatively impact his team. And I feel like sometimes you can take a step forward by letting go of a high quality player. Some people think, oh no, he's one of the better players. How do you don't let go of a great player? That's not true. Sometimes you do let go of a great player because he might not be the right great player for your mix. And I think that might be the case with Kyle Lowry. So, all right, let's go to the next question. And this one comes from my main man, Simon Torvey Sunland. And he says, several people believe that there is a lack of African Americans in professional baseball. What do you think? A lack? I don't know if I would use the word a lack, but there are a lesser amount of African Americans in professional baseball than there is in basketball and in football. And I think a big reason for that is because a lack of what's two things. I think, well, I'd say three things. And I think I've mentioned this before. One is as a lack of interest. And I think the other two reasons that I'm going to mention kind of support why this is. There's a lot of African Americans that just don't like baseball. You know, I think there's a reason why. I'm not one of them. As you guys, anybody who's on my channel knows that's not the case. I'm not one of them. But I think one of the reasons is baseball is a slow sport. It's a type of sport that is passed down from father to son. And because just by itself, right? If you try to get a small child, which is generally when you're in that age group, that's generally when you fall in love with a sport. If you try to get a small child to watch a baseball game with no guidance, right? It's going to lose their interest because the game moves slow. So you need a parent, a father, a mother, a brother, somebody a grandparent, somebody to bring them along in the game, explain the nuances, because generally children think whatever their parent thinks is cool. They think that's cool to a degree, right? So dad watches the baseball game, I sit down and watch it with him. Mom watches the baseball game, I sit down and watch. But mostly, let's be honest, mostly it's dad. Mostly it's dad or grandpa. Unfortunately, in a lot of African-American homes, there's no father. So I think that's one of the reasons, and that's something a lot of people won't really outwardly say, but I'm honest. I think that's one of the reasons why you have a decreased interest. Another reason is because economically, baseball is not a cheap sport to play, but neither is football. But the love of football, all you need to fall in love with football is an open field and a ball and some people to play with. That's all you really need. Baseball, you got to have the bats, you got to have the balls, the gloves. Yeah, because we played and we didn't have gloves or whatever. And then in the truest sense, you need a diamond. Now, we used to play a game called Strikeout, which was all you needed was a wall and a big brick or rock that you could make the X on the wall with the box. And we played Strikeout, but that was just a pitcher to batter situation. So it's just things are different, now. And I think all of those reasons kind of boil into why you see a decreased amount. All right, our next question. Wow, this is from Nick Goss. I actually didn't even realize that this was a former colleague. This is a former colleague from when I wrote for Bleacher Report. Nick Goss, I appreciate you coming through. He says, I've been watching and playing basketball for 23 years, but I always learned something watching Hubie Brown provide color analysis. This is actually not a question, but I like this, so I'm sorry he didn't say anything in the question. But yes, you know what? I kept this here for a reason. I feel the same way with Hubie Brown. Hubie Brown, I'm listening to Hubie Brown, right? And I'm like, Hubie Brown is like 98 years old. But I'm telling you, his stuff, his analysis, the way he breaks down what happens during a play is among the best of all of the basketball color analysis, color analysts out there. I love his work. Man, I hope he works until he's 150 because he's awesome. Let's see. Our next question. Hopefully we don't know. Let me see if this is a question because that last one was not. Last comment comes from SK the Pop Star. He says, no one will ever consider esports a sport. It's offensive to the NBA and NFL players who are actual athletes. Stop trying to change reality. So I kept this here for a reason. Because I'm deciding to expand Ask FP a little bit to sometimes when people may not be asking me a question, but they're saying something that is interesting. So like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I do not say that esports is the same type of sport as basketball and football, real life basketball and football, because it's not. But I do think that it is very much on par with NASCAR, and no one questions whether or not well, I shouldn't say no one, but not as many people question whether or not NASCAR is a sport. Essentially, you're physically manipulating a device to do what your body actually isn't. You're driving the car. I'm holding the controller and I'm making it do whatever I need it to do to manipulate the characters on the screen. There's really no difference there. Some people will even say, hey, well, your brain is a muscle. You're using reflexes and so on and so forth to manipulate the controller. So as long as I'm using my body in some way, shape, or form to compete, then it is a sport. I can't necessarily say I'm totally in agreement on that level, but what I do say is I don't even know that it's necessary to have that argument, whether or not this is a sport. And I don't know that that's necessary. What I do believe is important for people to know is that it is a competition that requires great skill, great teamwork, excellent reflexes, and hand-to-eye coordination to be great at. So that's what it is. I mean, it is this is not too many people make these blanket statements and they make these generalizations and these stereotypes of gamers, and all of these people are people living in their basement, in their mom's basement, and they're this and they're that. I don't live in my mama's basement. And I play and I game partially for a living, not in competition, but in recreation. And I give my opinions and feedback on these products, and that's part of how I make my living. And like I said, I don't live in my mother's basement, so it's a really crazy stereotype to make, and it's really just what it is just archaic. The only people who you really hear making those kind of statements are the people who just are not interested. I got a saying. the worst sin in the world is the one you think you'll never commit. And what I mean by that is when you hear people talking about something that they're not into, they're quick to be just so dismissive, waving. But when you find that thing that they're into that may not be the most mature thing, or may not be the most, whatever thing there is, they'll defend it tooth and nail because that's their thing, right? Well, gaming is not these people's thing. So they're not going to fight for it the same way a person that games does. So I just let it go at that. And I don't bother having back and forth conversations with people who I know don't even like it anyway. What's the point? What's the point? So it is what it is. All right. Our next question comes from Devontae Hughes. And Devontae Hughes says, I heard real boxing with Manny Pacquiao is a good mobile game. That brings me to, I got a giveaway. I got 2 giveaways today, and I actually didn't even talk about these the way I wanted to. I got 2 giveaways today. One of them is for a autographed Manny Pacquiao boxing glove, and I got to show you guys this glove. I got to show it to you. I'm going to make sure that I show it to you before the giveaway is done. But I'm going to I'm going to give you the question shortly, and we're going to go from there. I had to pause for a second. We had to get something in order. I had to make sure I had the boxing glove somewhere nearby. But yes, I'm going to give you guys a question. And it's going to be a Manny Pacquiao centric question. So anybody who is interested in winning the glove, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it to you guys right now. Show you the glove. All right, I had to Junior have me the glove. So this is legit. This is legit. I mean, this is, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, when this came from Vivid Games, who is the developer who made the made Real Boxing. This is like the 3rd version of it, but they got Manny Pacquiao in it as the endorser, the feature athlete or what have you. So I mean, and it's a good size too. Now I'm not a little guy. I'm 6'5", about 260, so it fits me good. I've thrown a couple, so I know how the glove is supposed to fit. And so this is not the glove you guys will be getting. So in case you're like, why is he having my hand in my glove? Yeah, this is not the glove you guys will be getting. But yeah, it just makes you want to make you want to throw one. I know, and pick them off. So yeah, but this fits me perfect. So good. It's got the nice autograph on. I don't want to punch too much on it because it's got his autograph on, and I'm gonna put it in something. So I got one for myself, and I got one to give away. So I'm gonna throw that question out for you guys. Also, I'm gonna be giving away 2 Xbox One codes for NBA Playgrounds. But to answer my man's question, Real Boxing, anybody who knows me knows that I am starving for a console boxing video game, right? Starving for one. I'm starving for one so much that I will actually give these mobile games, boxing games, a chance because I just want to play a boxing game so bad. I mean, I have the urge to go back and play Fight Night Champion a lot because I just want to play a boxing game. So as far as I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I am not a big mobile game fan. I'm not. But I will say this. Of all of the mobile boxing games that I've ever played, Real Boxing is by far the best. By far the best. It's the other ones are really, really bad, in my opinion. Really bad. But Real Boxing, it has a career mode aspect. You can build your fighter. The graphics are good. The graphics are good. When you actually see the graphics, you'll say to yourself, wow, I wish they would port this over, add a little bit of depth and make it a console title. I've actually even asked Vivid Games, and one of the representatives I spoke to, I asked them about that. There's no haps on that right now, but hopefully maybe something sometime in the future, we could possibly get that. But yes, I mean, it is really, I'm telling you, it is a very nice looking mobile game. Not my cup of tea because, like I said, I'm not a mobile game guy. But as far if you are a mobile game guy and you like boxing and you're looking for a boxing game, Real Boxing is probably going to be your best choice. All right, so all right, I believe I got the question for you. So I was checking this out. I wanted to see which question I was going to give you. All right, so here it is. Here's the question, and this is for the chat. So you gotta be in the chat to get this right. And I'm going to look at the chat right now. So let me bring up my chat so that I can see who's getting what. Let's see. All right, let's see. All right. This is for the first person with this correct response gets this glove. I'm gonna ship it to you. You can shoot me a DM on Twitter to give me your the address or the shipping information. But here's the question: what is the heaviest or the largest weight class that Manny Pacquiao won a world title in? Basically, the largest weight class that he won a world title in, and who did he beat to win the title? All right, so there it is. I'm not even gonna move on until, well, I'm not gonna say that because I don't know how many people are interested. But what is the largest weight class that Manny Pacquiao won a world title in? Okay, and who did he beat to win the title? Anybody got it? So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just leave it there. I'm gonna just leave it there because maybe we don't have any Manny Pacquiao fans in the chat. I don't know. That's funny, but so that's gonna be that. We're gonna get to the NBA Playgrounds giveaway a little bit later. I'm gonna check back in the chat again. I'll repeat it again, maybe after the next couple questions. If anybody wants to win that glove, I mean, it's autographed for real. I mean, on the real. I mean, this is a legit autograph. So whoever wants to get it, I mean, and even if the first person that gets it is somebody who watches it after the stream isn't live anymore, we'll see what happens. So well, let's see. I'm looking at the I had it right. Yeah, we're going back this way. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, let's go to our next question. Right. All right, this question is from Index West, and I just saw him in the chat. So I know you are on hand, big homie. He says, is calling LeBron the GOAT a reasonable statement now, or is he not on the level of Jordan just yet? I think that it's reasonable to somewhat have the conversation, but I don't think he's on the level yet. I think if he beats Golden State this year, then I think it's fair to have the conversation. And that's a really big statement. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player that ever lived. He is. I think Kareem don't get as much credit as he deserves because I think he's right in there. But Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player that ever lived. So for me to say that somebody is approaching that level or this close to being on it, that's a big deal. LeBron would have 4 rings. What would this be? I think it's 8 finals appearances, 7 in a row. If he does, I mean, Mike never went to 7 straight finals. I mean, we can make the argument that he never played in 7 finals, period. But we could make the argument he would have went to 8 straight had he not left basketball for 2 years, but that didn't happen. What is happening is LeBron in the finals for 7 years in a row if they make it again this year, which is what most people expect to happen. I know he didn't win every one of them like Mike won every one of them, but it's a different situation. All situations are different. He's made it there. He would have made it there 7 times in a row, 8 times total. And that team he took in 06 was worse than the team Russell Westbrook barely got to the playoffs with this year. So yeah, I'm saying it's getting serious. It's getting serious. All right, our next question comes from Michael Rigsby Jr. And Michael Rigsby Jr. says, should the NBA want Lonzo Ball to be drafted by the Lakers, and how bad would it be if the Lakers pick falls to number 4? I don't think, that whole wanting players to go to certain cities and all that, I think that is so overrated and doesn't even really matter nearly as much as people think it does. I mean, you look at Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook right now, and they are proof that if you're in the NBA, it doesn't really matter what city you play in. Because I shouldn't say it doesn't really matter, but if you are great enough, the spotlight and the news will find you. I mean, nobody questions whether or not Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook got as much exposure as they were supposed to get. And they were in Oklahoma City. You know what I'm saying? Like, Paul George is a great player, and pretty much people know that. And he's in Indiana. They're going to find you. Lonzo's going to, and trust me, with Lonzo's dad, he could be playing in Saskatchewan and people are going to know. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. All right. Our next question also comes from Michael. Oh, he said about the Lakers going to number 4. Yeah, that would be pretty bad. Well, I don't know. This draft is pretty deep. So if you can get Lonzo, Markelle Fultz, Josh Jackson, or Jason Tatum, I think you do really well. There's going to be some other guys to step up big too, but those 4 are the guys that I really dig. I would love for the Bulls to get one of those guys, but I know they'd have to trade Jimmy Butler to do it, so we'll see what happens. Michael Rigsby Jr. says, I believe boxing needs GGG to beat Canelo in a close fight to set up intrigue and a potential trilogy. Thoughts? I don't think boxing needs that, honestly, Mike, and I don't mean to keep disagreeing with you today, but I don't think boxing needs anything except for them to fight and for there to be no garbage in the fight. So if they fight, I don't care if Canelo knocks Golovkin out in the first 30 seconds or vice versa. As long as they fight and it's legitimate, that's what boxing needs. Boxing needs continued legitimacy, and we've had a really good year in the sport this year. I mean, even beyond this year, obviously the last 8 to 10 months has been really solid for boxing. The Canelo Chavez Jr. fight almost ruined it, but luckily they came up with a very entertaining and very long awaited announcement of Canelo and Golovkin at the end, which kind of saved the whole evening. But boxing just needs to keep going, making good fights. And that's what we need. Just keep making good fights and let the results do what they're going to do. All right, let's see. Michael Rigsby Jr. has another question. He says, I finally played WWE 2K17. My career seems legit, but clearly lacks one thing. Do you see them adding voice acting in 2K18? I think they are going to add voice. I do think that's the biggest thing missing from my career. From the game overall, though, they have to clean up tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is boo bad in WWE 2K17, and I didn't realize how bad it was until after I'd been playing it for about a month and a half. I was like, The singles wrestling though is really good. There's still some collision detection stuff here and there, but I still think it's the best one that they've had, especially since 2K took over. But gameplay wise, they still got some holes. I'm kind of cool with the options. I know a lot of people still want some other things in there, and I'm not saying that I don't want those things at all. But if that gameplay was tighter, and a little bit more free, because that whole fight in the crowd thing was very much overblown, and you get over that probably in the first 30 days of doing it, because you really can't do nothing when you get there. You're just throwing punches back and forth. And this is what I'm saying right now is one of the main reasons why I'm going to start doing my 90-day reviews, because you have, as a journalist, you have a responsibility, so to speak, of putting to your publication, of putting out a review the day that it comes out, right? And I give my best opinion at that time. But there are times when what I feel about a game changes after I've been playing it for about a month and a half. And you're never going to get a month and a half to play a game before you review it. It's just impossible. The most you're going to, the earliest I've ever had a game to review is like 2 weeks. That's the most. And when I think I had maybe 2 versions of Madden that early. And I'm talking about, I played those suckers in every way, shape, or form. I played stuff I knew I didn't like, you know. And I mean, I do that anyway, but I'm talking about I was able to put ridiculous time in it. And my review for those games would not have changed, because 2 weeks is more than enough time, as long as you got enough time to play the game and don't have other stuff to do that's taken away from it. But sometimes, if I'm being totally honest with you, 3 days or less is a little shaky. It's a little shaky. You can do your best, and I'm just being honest. You can do your best, but you're bound to not give something the requisite time if that's what you got, 3 days. And like you said, you have a responsibility to a publication and to yourself, because obviously, you know, you're going to, your piece is going to do more traffic the earlier that it comes out. But you have a responsibility to get it out on the day that the embargo lifts, which is usually the same day as the release. So I say all that to say that if I did a 90-day review of WWE 2K17, it would be lower than my initial review. And I believe I gave it an 8.5 or something like that. I probably would drop it down to about a 7.5 if I re-reviewed it, because there's some gameplay stuff that I still think is not good. It's not where, I shouldn't say not good, not where it should be. But the options are bananas, in my opinion. The graphics in like 95% of the instances is awesome. But but I did talk about that no having a voice thing in my career. That was just a total turn off to me from the beginning. So yeah. All right, let's go to the next question, which is from Simon Torvey Sunderland. And he says, I don't know if you saw it, but KG and former Celtics talked about the departure of Ray Allen again. And what's your take? So I kind of talked about this a little bit just at the beginning of the show. I think it's so petty, man. I think it's so petty, dog. I couldn't make myself. And I know KG told me, you know, you guys don't understand, man. This is light stuff. Bruh. There ain't no way in the world, man, I'm gonna sit up on the stage with 4 grown men and we mad at another grown man because he said he was gonna go work someplace else. And I understand it's your career. I understand you guys take basketball like this. I am a competitor. I don't like losing at nothing. I don't care if it's marbles. I don't like losing at nothing. Everything I do it to be the best that I can be and be better than everybody else if it's at all possible. That's what I do. So and this is not coming from a standpoint of a person who's not a competitor, but it's a business too. And players are quick to tell you it's a business when they do something that they want to do. You know, same thing with owners. When you're doing something you want to do, it's a business and you want everybody to understand it's a business. But now when you get your feelings hurt, it's something different. Man, there's no way in the world, dog, I'm going to sit up here and be mad. Like, I might be like, man, I might be upset because I know we don't have as much of a chance to win, but I'm going to be mad at this cat, like literally mad. And I'm petty to the point where we have a reunion and I say I'm not inviting him. That's so silly. And Perkins and Big Baby, they're just followers. That's all. They just followers, younger cats that are followers. KG said this, and we gonna ride with whatever KG said. Paul Pierce is not that. He felt whatever way he felt, but you could tell it's a little different between him and the way he has it in Garnett. And Rondo is his own guy. You may not like him, you may not agree with him. Sometimes I don't agree with him. Sometimes most times he gets on my nerves. but I respect the fact that he's his own man. And I also respect the fact that I'm looking at him, and I know Rondo's got aspirations. They joked about this, and I think it's because they already know. But I've mentioned this before. Rondo has aspirations of being a head coach. And Rondo is getting himself together from a standpoint of a perception standpoint. And he is preparing himself for that next level. That's what being a mentor on the Chicago Bulls roster is about. That's what accepting that bench role was about. That's what all of it was about, I think. And I respect, like I said, I respect him being his own man. Let's see. We got our next question. And it comes from Simon Torvey Summer. He says, every time I watch John Lester pitch, experts always mention his inability to pick off runners. Is there a reason for it? Honestly, man, it's a mental thing, man. And in baseball, you'll see I see similar situations. Two come to my mind off the top of my head. Rick Ankiel for the St. Louis Cardinals was a out of sight pitching prospect. I'm telling you, man, I'm talking about from a prospect standpoint, the hoopla for Rick Ankiel was like it was for Mark Pryor, just about. And if anybody remembers Mark Pryor for the Cubs, and we all know it didn't go so well once the injuries hit, but the hype was real for Ankiel, But the guy had a problem with wildness. Like, it got so bad, I'm like, he's literally throwing the ball in the stands. It was like almost scary to watch him unravel on the field, on the mound. But Ankiel was such an outstanding athlete, he made himself a position player after reaching the major leagues. You absolutely never see that. A guy change from a position player to a pitcher or vice versa after making the majors. He did that, but he had to do it because he had this mental block of literally making a pitch from the mound to the plate. Another guy, Chuck Knobloch at second base, he had some sort of mental block that threw him way off throwing the ball from second base to first base. It was insane. I mean, so much so that they had to make him a DH because he could hit. I mean, but he's a little guy, but he went to be a DH at some point of his career because he could not get past this issue. Lester has throwing the first base is a similar issue. It's totally mental. And nobody has forced him in game. I'm talking about none of his managers have forced him in game to like address the fear and just go ahead and do it. So he's such a good pitcher. Otherwise, they just let him alone. And he has to generally be matched with a catcher like David Ross last year, whose ability to hold runners and throw guys out is so good that they're able to somewhat slow down the running game. But I'll be honest, I don't think that enough people put pressure on Lester to field his position. I don't think we see enough bunts laid down against him. And I'm a Cubs fan saying this. Like, I know I got a Sox hat on now for guys who are not familiar with me on this channel. I always tell people I'm married to the Cubs. I just date the Sox. I'm a Cubs fan, hardcore Cubs fan. Been a Cubs fan for over 30 years. I mean, lived and died with the Cubs. Leon Durham letting the ball roll through his legs. Bartman, you know, Will Clark killing us in the 89 championship series, all of that, right? But if I'm playing against the Cubs, I'm bunting we're gonna drop at least 4 bunts down on Lester. And every time I get a guy on base who has any level of speed, I am literally taking walk-in leads until he throws over. He's gonna pick me off. He's gonna have to pick me off before I stop taking walk-in leads on this guy. You know, so you know, it's just what it is. All right, our next question comes from Doughboy. He says, with the release of NBA Playgrounds, which other NBA game would you like to see or brought back other than 2K, of course? I think the obvious one, Doughboy, is 2K, NBA Street. NBA Street She's just cool, man. And I'm not even a guy who likes arcade sports games. I don't like the Street and the Blitz, NFL Blitz. I'm just really, no. But something about NBA Street was just cool. like I love the character models, which is one of the reasons why I like NBA Playground so much. I have some videos stored up for NBA Playgrounds that I should have put out already. I haven't done it yet. We'll probably see them tomorrow or maybe even later tonight. But probably tomorrow. But man, I think it's just that cool look to NBA Street. So that's the one I would definitely like to see come back out of all of them. All right, our next question comes from Lowly Legend, and Lowly Legend says, no matter who you mentioned in your articles, I appreciate what you're doing for our eLeague Pro Am community, and I appreciate you with that take, man. Definitely, you know, I usually, people know me on my channel, man. I usually don't come at people. I usually don't, man. I just usually be like, okay, whatever. But my man, some of this stuff that was said, I was like, wait a minute, hold on, 20-second time out, dog. 20-second time out, brother. Y'all getting a little crazy. Our next question is from Taylor Malone. That's my dog right here. This is my guy right here. He goes in and out on me a little bit, but I hope everything's well with you, Taylor. He says, thinking about the 2K19 Legends cover, thinking KG or Iverson, who you got? Well, honestly, man, I thought Iverson was going to be on the Legends edition of 2K18, but we already know it's been announced it was Shaq. I thought it was going to be Iverson. I really did. So I don't know. I don't know if Iverson not being on it has something to do with the fact that he's kind of featured front and center on NBA Playgrounds. Could be. I don't know. But maybe not. I don't know what it is. But it just seems so right for Iverson to be on the cover. He just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. I know Shaq went in with him. But Iverson is the original cover guy. And if you really want to know the truth, if we talking about swag and we talking about influence and cool points with the customer base, I think Iverson's got more swag and got more pull and influence than Shaq. But you know, at least with this demographic. But you know, I mean, people are still going to buy 2K. But I'm just saying, Iverson on the cover would have been something I feel special. So hopefully they have it next year with him. All right, our next question is also from Taylor Malone. He says, with Kyle Lowry considering a move to the West, who do you think is the best fit? I'm thinking the Spurs. For the reasons that I gave a little bit earlier today, Taylor, I'm not sure Kyle fits in well with the Spurs. I'm not, man. I don't know. Maybe with a guy like Kawhi. I don't think so though, man. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe as a replacement for Chris Paul, if Chris Paul bounces, maybe if they get rid of, think about it like this. What if the Clippers get rid of Chris Paul, or not get rid of Chris Paul? Chris Paul elects to leave via free agency, and the Clippers say, well, we can only pick one between you and Blake. And obviously the smart one to pick, if you can only get one, is going to be Blake because he's younger. And then you instead give the money you were going to give or could have given to Chris Paul to Kyle Lowry. So now you have Kyle Lowry, you have Blake Griffin, you still have DeAndre Jordan. They still need a 2 and a 3 because JJ Redick's going to bounce, and he's 34 now, I believe. And they've never had a small forward. So they still had some stuff they got to fill in, but you don't fall very far if you get Kyle Lowry in there. But you still need the right type of leadership in there with Kyle Lowry, because I'm just not sure about him on that end. But I think the Clippers is a better fit with Paul moving on, if he moves on. Our next question is from Brock Lesnar. I think it is. Wait a minute. No, it ain't. Oh, yeah, we didn't. I don't know why we didn't. We got rid of this. I don't know what happened with that one. But, yeah, we already answered that question. And that one, yes, we're here. Yeah, all right. If Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers face off in the finals, what is it? And the Cleveland Cavaliers face off in the finals, could it be the best NBA finals ever? You know what? I don't know, man. It could be, or it could be a terrible finals. Honestly, it just depends on on how competitive we are. You know, how competitive that whole series is. You know, that's what it all boils down to. You know, if the series is competitive, then maybe. But if not, I don't know. I'm going back and looking to see if I had anybody answer this question right. I had True Miami fans said welterweight Miguel Cotto, and that is not the answer. So that one, You did not win there. So if you try again, you don't seem to have any competition, man. So if you got another answer, so I'm gonna repeat the question. What is the largest weight class that Manny Pacquiao won a championship in? And who did he beat to win it? Largest weight class. Okay, so there's that. Now, while we're waiting on that, I figure we may get a little bit more love here. Now, this is only for Xbox One people, right? Only for Xbox One people. So we're going to go old school basketball. And you guys, I mentioned this. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know. You know what I'm saying? You heard this, you heard me say this before. But there is one 7-time NBA All-Star. Now, this is to win a free download code of NBA Playgrounds on Xbox One. There's one 7-time NBA All-Star who is Hall of Fame eligible. So you know that means you got to be retired for 5 years. One NBA, a 7-time NBA All-Star who is Hall of Fame eligible, who is not in the Hall of Fame. There's just one. Who is he? Who is he? That Billy Burton had an answer. Oscar De La Hoya, welterweight. No, that's not it. There's one. That if you can tell me who the 7-time NBA All-Star is, that is Hall of Fame eligible, who is not in the Hall of Fame. If you can tell me who that is, you win a digital download of NBA Playgrounds. No, it is not Marquez at junior lightweight. No, Tracy McGrady is in the Hall of Fame. He just got in. Well, he's not in yet, but he's been inducted. You know, he's been inducted. There's but that's a good guess because he is a 7-time All-Star. There's a 7-time All-Star who is not in the Hall of Fame. He's the only one who is Hall of Fame eligible. So that means obviously he's retired and been retired for more than 5 years, who is not in the Hall of Fame. All right, so let's look at our next question here, our last question, actually. It is from Brock Lesnar, and he says, could the WWE UK show help or hurt the WWE network financially? I don't think it can hurt it. And I'm going to tell you something like this, too. The WWE, from a business standpoint, and when it comes to getting cash, these guys and girls know what they're doing. They're not going to fall. They're not going to fall short there. They're not going to fall short there. Grant Hill is actually not Hall of Fame eligible yet. Grant Hill has been gone for how many years? I know he's not Hall of Fame eligible yet. He has been gone for he left in 2013, so I don't think he'd be eligible until the 18-19 season. After the 18-19 season. So, but yeah, he is definitely a very good guess, and he will probably join this guy. The answer to the question, he'll probably join him once this is over. And Dante McGregory, you did not spell his name right, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Jack Sikma is Sikma is the answer. Jack Sikma and Dante, I'm going to give it to you. I see Anmol Singh came in with the right answer, and he spelled it right, but Dante was first, and he is correct. Dante McGregory got it right. Jack Sikma is the answer. He is the only 7-time All-Star in NBA history who is Hall of Fame eligible, who is not in the Hall of Fame. Now that is really something, because you know how I stumbled on that information? Everybody was talking about, does Tracy McGrady deserve to be a deserve to be a Hall of Famer and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what, man, he's a 7-time All-Star. So I said, how many guys have been a 7-time All-Star who aren't in the Hall of Fame? And as it turns out, Jack Sikma was the only guy. So I'm like, wow, that is crazy. So yeah, nobody's got this Pacquiao question right yet. It's crazy. I don't know if it's because we don't have a lot of like hardcore boxing fans here or what, but nobody got the Pacquiao question right yet. But yeah, Dante, I need you to shoot me a DM, and I will give you your code for for NBA Playgrounds. Now I got another NBA Playgrounds code, so we got one more question to ask. Oh, let's see what we're gonna do. Let's see what. There you go. Everything Pro Wrestling. You just got the glove. It's Antonio Margarito, super welterweight. Pacquiao actually won a world title at 154 pounds. And if you realize where Manny Pacquiao began his career, then you will know why that is so, oh my God. Because Pacquiao won his first world title at flyweight. Flyweight, people. Flyweight. And to go all the way up to 154 and win a title, and not just win the title, he battered Margarito. Like, and Margarito is known for his chin. Now, he didn't stop him, but he battered him and basically almost ended his career. Margarito ended up making a comeback, but he battered him, you know, and you know what I'm saying? So this is yours, Everything Pro Wrestling. And I'm happy to give it to you, sir. I'm going to ship this off to you. Shoot me a DM with your shipping information. I will get it to you. Hey, if you sell it, if you keep it, I don't know, but whatever, it's good. I mean, this is some good stuff. It really is. I mean, this is straight legit. If anybody has ever messed around with boxing and messed around with gloves, once you get this in your hand, you're going to know this is straight legit. It came straight from the Philippines too. So my packaging, all my packaging came straight from the Philippines. It was really dope. It took a long time to get here too. So it was, you know, because the whole shipping thing was crazy, you know. So let's see. We got one more question. I'm trying to come up with a really good one to give away this NBA Playgrounds. Maybe I'll try to make this one a little bit less difficult, a little less difficult. All right, here it is. The first person. We're going retro again, and I'm going to give you an idea. This person is in NBA Playgrounds. All right. And I'm going to give you clues, one clue at a time. So the first clue is he's in NBA Playgrounds. So you guys can start your guesses right now. So the first clue is he's in NBA Playgrounds. So you know the game got like 250 players in it. So that's the first clue. So we're going to count to 10 and see who can get it after 10. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, nobody got it on their first one. All right. The next clue is he went to Overton High School. He went to Overton High School. If you basically, I'm wanting you to name the player. If you can name the player, then you know we're there. You know what? I'm sorry. I let me go back. I messed up. That's why I had to check. I made a mistake. Started over. He went to Overbrook High School. Overbrook High School. So we're going to count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, nobody got that one. All right. The next clue is he was a noted, there we go, index. Got it. It's Wilt Chamberlain. I was about to say he was a noted track and field star because he was great as a high jumper. And my next thing was he went to Kansas. Then I was going to say my next thing is he won an NBA championship with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers. But you got it after Overbrook Index. So Index, shoot me your information. Actually, just shoot me a DM. And I didn't say you couldn't have answered everything pro wrestling, but I'm kind of glad you didn't because you already won something today. So I didn't want to give everything to to the same person. But yes, Index. I hope you guys didn't already have NBA playgrounds and wanted it, because that's when I really like to give people stuff, when they wanted it and they just hadn't got it yet for whatever reason. So I hope that's the case. Or even if you're going to give it to somebody that's their situation, I hope that's always the case. I want people to, I want to be a blessing to people. I do. I even want to be a blessing to people who do 100 jumping jacks for subs. I even want, I even want that to happen. Yes, sir. I knew that was you. Everything pro wrestling. Yes, absolutely, man. We definitely need to do another show. I'm down with you for it. No, actually, when he won the title, Resilient 19, he was with the 76ers. He started off with the Philadelphia Warriors, and they didn't win a championship when he was with the Warriors, but that was when he scored 100 points in a game. But he ended up going to the 76ers, and that's when he won the title. It was when he played with Hal Greer. So that was the team that won the championship, not the Warriors. So it's kind of confusing because he did start off with the Philadelphia Warriors, then he went to the Philadelphia 76ers. So it was actually he actually switched teams. So yeah. So that was it, man. I appreciate all of you guys who chimed in and watched this. Like I said, everything pro wrestling, shoot me a DM so I can give you the code. Index, shoot me a DM so I can give you a code. And Dante McGregory, Index, shoot me the DM so I can give you the address. So I can wait a minute. No, I get this all wrong. Everything pro wrestling, shoot me the DM so I can get your address to send you the glove. Index, shoot me the DM so that I can get you your code. And same thing, I believe it is for Dante McGregory as well. Wait a minute, do I have this right? I'm all tripped out. Yeah, Dante McGregory, yours is for the code. So I got it. I'm together. I was not together for a minute, but I'm back together now. So I appreciate everybody. Like I said, God bless and peace.